What is up, guys? Blim here, and today I am going to be sharing a very interesting mechanic regarding a signature ability called Neutralizing Gas. So Neutralizing Gas is the exclusive ability of the coughing and wheezing line, and what this ability does, as you can see here, if the Pokemon with Neutralizing Gas is in the battle, the effects of all Pokemon's abilities will be nullified or will not be triggered. So just to cut in short, whenever something with Neutralizing Gas is on battle, it will disable or nullify all abilities of all the present Pokemon in the field. Now, just to show you what this does, I have a battle window open, which I'm going to show you right now. So as you can see, I have a Mon with Neutralizing Gas, which is my Wheezing, and I have a Scizor, and I'm going to show you what Neutralizing Gas does. As you can see, I lead off with my Scizor and they lead off with a Magic Guard Clef. And so I go for Toxic here, and see, since this Clef has Magic Guard, it didn't take the toxic damage. See, it didn't take the toxic damage. But what happens when I summon in Wheezing with Neutralizing Gas? So let's see what happens. I summoned in the Wheezing with Neutralizing Gas, and since this Magic Guard got disabled, see, this Clef took the damage. See, Magic Guard got disabled with Neutralizing Gas, and this Clef took the toxic damage. Very kind of obvious ability. And now let's move on to some very cool concepts regarding Neutralizing Gas. I'm pretty sure you guys might not know some of this. So let's get on to the first cool concept of Neutralizing Gas. So we have one more battle screen, and let me show you something. So as you can see, I lead off with my Scizor again, they lead off with a Magic Guard Clef, and yeah, they click a random move, I go for the Toxic, and since this is Magic Guard, the Clef is not taking toxic damage. Now see, I am staying in with my Scizor, right? I am staying in, I'm going for the Toxic, and they are also staying in. See, it's Magic Guard, nothing's happening. Now watch what happens. Now watch what happens when I bring out my Wheezing. I stayed in with my Scizor for 5 turns, and then suddenly I bring in my Wheezing on the Clefable. But since this Clefable had Magic Guard, it didn't take the toxic damage. But what happens when I bring Wheezing after like 5 or 6 turns? Watch what happens. Neutralizing Gas was activated. Now see what happens. This Clefable took at once, it took all the racked up toxic damage. Yeah, just to show you again, see, I go for the Toxic. Turn 1, no toxic damage. Turn 2, it should have taken 12%. Turn 3, it should have taken 18%. And see, turn 4, again stayed in. And suddenly after 5 turns, I bring in my Wheezing. And what happened when I bring in my Wheezing? See, this Clef took all the 5 turn of toxic damage at once. See, did you know this? Did you know this? So if something with Magic Guard or with something which is not affected by toxic, if poison, they stay in, and if you bring out your Neutralizing Gas Pokemon, it will take all the toxic damage at once. Same with Poisonil Gliscor. Let me show you. See, Gliscor has Poisonil, so Poison Toxic should heal up Gliscor. Now what happens? See, I'm staying with my Scizor. Toxic damage should rack up, right? But since it has Poisonil, it's not doing. Watch what happens when I bring in my Wheezing suddenly after a lot of turns. Watch what happens. Watch. Yeah. So I go for the U-turn, I bring in my Wheezing, and see what happens. See, this Gliscor took 31% damage all at once. Just to show you again, see, this Gliscor took 31% damage because it stayed in for 5 turns and toxic damage doubles. See, this Gliscor took 41% damage. So this is a very cool concept regarding Neutralizing Gas. If something stays in and you bring the Neutralizing Gas Pokemon suddenly on field, that Mon will take all the racked up damage at once. Did you know this? Now, let's move on to the second very interesting fact about Neutralizing Gas. Let's go. Now, the second interesting fact about Neutralizing Gas. As I showed you in the previous battle screen, if I bring in my Neutralizing Gas Mon after 4 to 5 turns, that Mon will take all the racked up toxic damage. So, as toxic works, right? I mean, if you badly poison a Pokemon, so the first turn it will take 6%, then 12%, then 18%, then 24%, then 30%. So as you saw in the previous battle window, I brought in my Wheezing after 5 turns, and that the Clefable took at all round up, it took like 32% damage. Now let's see something really interesting. So as you see, I poison the Clef. Since it has Magic Guard, it's not taking any damage. But what will happen if I stay in for a lot of turns? Let's say after 22 turns. In general, this Clefable should take all the racked up toxic damage and it would die, right? But what happens? Watch. See, I stayed in for 22 turns and then I bring in my wheezing. So toxic damage is doubling, and as you saw in the previous battle window, the total racked up toxic damage would be over 100%. So the Clefable should die, right? But watch what happens. This Clefable took 90% damage instead of dying. Let me show you it again. Let me show you it again. Let me show you again. So see, I bring in my wheezing and see how much damage this Clefable takes from neutralizing gas. It took 90% damage. So this is a very, very cool fact about neutralizing gas. So no matter for how much turn you stay in, let it be 25 turns, let it be 50 turns, or even 100 turns, the maximum damage you can do from neutralizing gas is 90 to 95%, not more than that. Let's say that you stay in with a Mon on the Clefable or on a Magic Guard Mon for like 20 turns or like 30 turns. Toxic damage is racking up, and in general it should kill the Mon, right? But no, it will never kill the Mon. The maximum damage it can do is 90 to 95%. As you saw, this Clefable should have died, but since going by the logic, this Clefable took 90% damage, it didn't die. Same with the Gliscor. Let me show the Gliscor logic as well. Let me show the Gliscor logic. See, I poison the Gliscor, it has poison heal, so let me stay in with Mesizor. After a lot of turns I will go to my wheezing after a lot of turns. So 48 turns. See what? See. Let me just go to the last turn and let's play. See, I stayed in on the Gliscor over 22 turns, and I will bring in my wheezing and see how much damage it will take. See, in general it should have died, but see, it takes 93% damage. So one more very cool logic. The maximum damage if you bring your neutralizing gas Mon in suddenly on a turn, after how many turns you stay in, whether it's 20, it's 25, it's 30, 50, 100, 1000, maximum damage you can do is 90 to 95%. A very, very cool fact regarding neutralizing gas. Now let's move on to the third and very interesting concept. Okay, we have the third window open. Now let's read over the same thing. I want to show you something. As you saw, right, the maximum damage you can do is 90 to 95%. So see, same thing, I have poisoned the Clef. I'm staying with my Scizor. Let's just keep some turns. And now watch what happens. I go for the U-turn. I bring in my wheezing. See, watch what happens. So watch what happens. So yeah, I poison the Clef. I go for the U-turn. I bring in my wheezing and see what happens. This Clefable will die. So as I showed you in the previous clip, the maximum damage you can do is 90 to 95%. So with a prior chip, if you get some chip and bring the neutralizing gas Mon in the same turn, that Mon will die. You just need 5 to 10% chip on the Mon. Such very interesting fact, right? Let me show the same on the Gliscor. Yeah, it has poison heal, so yeah, it got poisoned. So see, I will skip some turns and I will go to the main turn. Now watch what happens. Staying in the Gliscor, I will get some U-turn damage. I will just get some U-turn damage and see what happens. I will get just 12% chip, and I bring in the wheezing and see what happens. It will take 90% and it dies. So these are the very cool facts regarding neutralizing gas. I think the first fact is the most interesting, right? So if you bring in your neutralizing gas Mon after, let's say, after a number of turns, you don't have to stay in, just bring your neutralizing gas Mon after a number of turns. That Mon will take all the racked up toxic damage. See, I stayed in for 5 turns. And I will bring my wheezing in. See, watch what happens. See, it will take up all the racked up toxic damage. At once. And the second clip I showed you, the maximum damage you can do by bringing your neutralizing gas Mon suddenly after let's say a lot of turns is maximum is 90 to 95%. And the third is with some prior chip, the Mon will die, because as I said, neutralizing gas does 90 to 95% damage. So yep, some very, very cool facts regarding neutralizing gas. So if you learned something new and if you enjoyed this, subscribe to the channel, because we have more interesting mechanics and undiscovered facts coming. And most importantly, guys, stay safe, guys. Bye bye.